my name is Emery and welcome to Foodie Friday. As you can see, today we are cooking in our beautiful Billings Farm Learning Kitchen. So it's great to be back in our kitchen and be able to craft a lovely recipe for you. So as you know, we are celebrating Dairy Month, so today we are making a recipe that will highlight two Billings Farm products, and we are going to make cheddar chive biscuits. Now the cheese we're using is our Woodstock Reserve cheddar, and the milk we are using today comes from Norwich Farm Creamery, but they exclusively use Billings Farm milk. I'm going to show you how to make buttermilk with that if you don't have any buttermilk at home. So let me show the ingredients I've measured out today, and then we will get crafting our biscuits. So in our bowl here we have 2 cups of all-purpose flour. We have 1 stick, which is 8 tablespoons of butter. Butter is super cold, and that's really important for mixing in your biscuits. That way the butter doesn't melt into your flour, but it stays in nice small chunks as you're incorporating it into your dry ingredients. We have 4 ounces of our Woodstock Reserve cheddar, about 3 tablespoons of chives. The chives are also really exciting because they came from the garden here at Billings Farm. I just picked them a couple minutes ago. And then in this little bowl here, we have a combination of salt, black pepper, garlic powder, baking powder, and baking soda. And those are going to be going into our dry ingredients. So first step is to make the buttermilk. Now if you didn't buy buttermilk at the store, it's very easy to do. I have a little bit of white vinegar here, so it's 1 tablespoon of white vinegar, and then you fill the rest of the way up till you hit the cup mark. So it's just the 1 tablespoon, and then fill it up till you hit the 1 cup, and that's all we need for our recipe. So it's good. The vinegar will sort of mix itself in as you're pouring your milk in, and then you're going to want to leave this sitting for about 5 minutes before we use it in our recipe. So I'm just going to put this off to the side. Now I'm going to take our spice blend and baking powder, baking soda blend, and then throw it in with our flour. Give that a mix around in my hand, just till it's all fully incorporated. And then I'm going to take this mixture, and since I don't have a pastry cutter, I am going to use our food processor to blend the butter into your flour. Whether you have a food processor or a pastry cutter or even a fork to mix it in by hand, you want your butter to get about pea-sized chunks, maybe a little less than pea-sized chunks. So I'm going to go ahead and put my dry ingredients in the food processor, add my butter, and blend it around till we get pea-sized chunks, and then we'll be back over here to add the rest of our ingredients and then get biscuits ready for the oven. So this is our flour mixture after I've blended it in our food processor. As you can see, we have sort of pea-sized chunks of butter right here. Now the cold butter is what's going to help create the flaky layers in our biscuit. The next step in our recipe is to add in our shredded cheddar. So I'm going to go add it all in. And just give the cheddar a good toss around in the flour to break up some of the chunks and get it nice and evenly coated. That way it's not all lumped together in one little clump as we go to mix in our wet ingredients. At the same time, I'm going to add in our chives. Get about 3 tablespoons. They have a really, really great scent. And also mix those around. And finishing out our biscuit dough by hand, I'm going to create a little well in the center. Push everything out to the side, and then pour our buttermilk in. As you can see, it's sort of got a little thicker. The vinegar helps thicken it up and create that texture and sour flavor for the buttermilk. So I'll pour this right in the center. And then use my hands to sort of gently fold the mixture together until we get a nice cohesive dough. And then we'll throw it down on the counter with a little bit of flour and form it into a shape to be able to prep to put on our pan for the oven. My biscuit dough has just come together. You just want to mix your biscuit dough until everything is fully incorporated, because overmixing will create a little bit of a tough biscuit, so you want to be nice and gentle. Now I've tossed it out of the bowl onto the counter with just a little bit of flour, and then gave a light sprinkle on top. And as gently as possible, without using a rolling pin, you want to shape your biscuit dough. If you are using round cutters, you would just press the dough out without really being concerned about the shape, and then using your biscuit cutter to cut straight down, because giving it a nice straight cut helps the biscuit rise very evenly, and if not, you might get a little tipping. So I'm just gonna, since I don't have any of my cutters here, I'm gonna form it into a little bit of a square, and then be able to cut my biscuits afterwards. Now you're looking for about maybe a half an inch or so, 3/4 of an inch of height on your dough. So that way everything is nice and even all around. Again, nice gentle pressure to spread your biscuit dough out. They're gonna look delicious anyway, but consistency really helps with nice even baking and a really good finished product. So I'm going to use my knife to cut the biscuits into squares, just a couple inches, separate them out. And if you have a little bit of a skinnier edge, you can sort of fold it in half and then reshape it until you get the size you want. So I'll push this off to the side for now. Finish cutting our biscuits. Nice and small. And then arrange them on our baking tray. Now you can use a baking tray lined with parchment paper is really the best. I have a Silpat here, it's just a silicone baking mat. When all else fails, you can use a little bit of aluminum foil. Now I'm going to place my biscuits on the tray fairly close together. Just a little bit of space in between, because it's really okay if your biscuits sort of bake up into each other. That way you sort of have a nice pull apart effect after they come out of the oven. Now I'm going to bake the biscuits that I have here in a oven at 425 degrees for about 10 to 12 minutes or so. Your biscuits will get golden brown, they'll puff up, and then they'll be coming out of the oven. So these are our biscuits that have just come out of the oven. They needed a little bit longer than the 12 minutes, so I put them in for another 3, so they baked for a total of 15. Now, they smell absolutely incredible. You get the cheese flavor, you can get some of that sharp oniony flavor from the chives or onion smell. I like to finish my biscuits by putting a little melted butter, just spreading over the top. So there's one. I'll finish the rest, let them cool, and then we will be able to have a delicious snack to accompany a meal or even just by itself. If you have any questions about this video, please leave them in the comments below. Happy baking, and we will see you back next week for Foodie Friday.